All right, gang. Well, that was a good way to start the morning. Normally, I don't have the opportunity to have the families all together to begin. I don't know. Do I need this? What do you think? I don't think I do. So let's put this over here. I do need my notes. Did that make sense, what I tried to do with you and the kids?
Yes.
What resonated about that? What spoke to you?
Telling us to stop. To go.
To stop.
Yeah.
We're on the go all the time.
Yeah. I think it is good that children can relate to the journey, getting in a car trip. So it's something that they can relate to.
We have to put our faith into terms that they can relate to and understand. And it's very doable. What I did there, I came up with when I was a DRE in Hoffman Estates in the northwest suburbs in the 90s. And I would work with our 205 or 10 First Communion kids every year. It was a big parish. And I gather them in the church, and we do just that, and we do more stuff. I talk about, birthday parties. Well, what if you threw a birthday party, and over half the people you invited didn't show up? Well, wouldn't you feel sad? You're like, what the heck? Am I not worth it? I thought we were friends. And so we talk about, and by the way, I'm not Mr. Guilt Trip guy, so I'm not going to do that to you. But we would talk about how Jesus offers this beautiful banquet to his friends. And when we choose, when anybody chooses to say, I got something better to do, more important to do than to go to your banquet, it probably doesn't feel good to Jesus. He probably feels like, gosh, what more important could you have to do than to be with me and to be with your family, your brothers and sisters, part of this Catholic Christian family. So just trying to put it in context that they could understand and say, yeah, I guess it's important. I guess what we're preparing for here in First Communion is important on different levels. I just try to help them see things maybe in ways that they hadn't thought of before. And you can do that too. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist. I have a theology degree, but I was just thinking of ways to connecting faith and life, and you can do that. And really, that's your job more than anyone's, because the parish here, whether it's school or religious ed, we have you for a very, very small wedge of time, and you've got them all the rest of the time. So it's on you far more than it's on Father Vince or Joe or the teachers and catechists here at the parish. So, have you, two questions to start with. Do you feel like you have ever had a personal relationship with God? It's a pretty basic, simple, start at the beginning kind of question. Do you feel like you've ever really been in a relationship with God? I ask the question because I don't think it should be taken for granted, because I think there are people who are Catholic who would, in their heart of hearts, say, no, actually. And, we could unpack, well, how could that be? How could you be even a practicing Catholic and not necessarily ever have felt in relationship to God? So that's a question I invite you to hear and to reflect upon going forward. Everything we do here is just truncated. Food for thought for you on the drive home and doing the dishes tonight and for the rest of your life. Some things I may throw out there that may be evocative for you. The second question is, do you feel that you have in some way been called? Reflect on those two questions. Relationship with God that's personal, and call. I'd like to give you a moment or two to just sit with that, pray with that, and then we'll come back together. with somebody near you, just share a thought or two, what you came up with on either of those. And of course, only share what you feel comfortable with. But 30 seconds each, so it'll be quick. It's way too short a time. Once we get you talking, it's hard to stop. On the second question, which is, have you been called somehow in your life? That question in particular, what do you come up with? What do you think of?
Yeah, we thought with kids, inviting kids to the church.
Called to parenthood.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was kind of thinking it's almost like, you know how you simplified the terms for the kids a little bit? Because the calling seems so strong and powerful, and if I think of it like that, no, I've never been called. I put one foot in front of the other and try to make it through the day. But if you try to simplify the calling to like listening to why you're doing something, or parenthood, or being with your family, like this, like simplifying it, because calling is so massive of a word. I would say no, but if you really simplify it to the simple people, then
Sure.
there might be day-to-day messages or feelings like I'm doing what I meant to be doing.
Doing what I'm meant to be doing. I think that's probably the definition of calling, you know? So, yeah. So I want to make sure I don't elevate my language too much, but elevate your vision a little bit to see yourself as having been called. Certainly, universally in this room, to parenthood. We can definitely say that is a calling. That is a vocational call from God for one's life. It's not, a chapter. It's not like a job. You can switch in and out of jobs and different professions even. Parenthood, family life is a calling from God. We believe that as believing people, Christian Catholic people. It's not just, we put it all in the context of God's providence for us. I am new to this business of being a parent. Late in the game, I got married and have a 2.5-year-old, little Danny. He's adorable. Other people say he's adorable, so I'm just pointing down. And Joe would attest to this.
Like true parents.
Blonde, blue eye. Now, okay, I got red hair, so but Christy, I think, gives a little bit of the blonde to Dan. And I say 22 hours out of the day, he's a little darling. And then those other two interspaced throughout, he's something else. And then in October, we had little Matthew come into our lives, Matty Pie. And he's been such a joy. Hospitalized twice already, right out of the gate, ICU, NICU for a few days, and then a respiratory thing at the beginning of the year. So, here I am, never been hospitalized in my life, and Danny has a blood thing where he's had one hospitalization in June. So in less than a year, we've had 3 hospitalizations. This is,
It's a lot of praying.
Yeah. But we've come through it, they're well, and I think all will be well. So I invite you to see your role as parent as a calling from God. And there may be other ways in which you feel, or could in reflection feel like God has called me to. I believe God has called me to the ministry role of teacher, presenter, diocesan leader for 17 years, to try to help us together grow in our relationship to God in Jesus Christ. So my work it feels like a calling. So I'm very blessed in the ways in which God has called, and I have said yes. God calls, and then we have the freedom to say yes or not. So it's a joint venture. I like to say that being a parent, creating life, is a joint venture. You have cooperated with God to create life, okay? And that is no small task or thing, to have said yes to God